What was your life like before the Holocaust?
Everything was great till about 1939, when the Germans, and they occupied the city. Everything came to a stop. We couldn't go to school anymore. They created two ghettos, one small one which we lived, and then the other one. We were restricted, we couldn't go out, and it was really very sad. My father was at a kosher meat market, and I remember I was only 14 years old when the Germans, three assessmen walked in the store. They took my father out and they beat him. He had a little beard, and they cut half a beard with a knife, and I saw this. And in 1942, so they rounded up all the butchers from the city, including my father. So my father, they took them to the police station. My father managed to escape, so we knew they're going to come after him. So we were all hiding. I was in a place, I was hiding. I don't think the Germans could have found me. In the meantime, when they came to our house looking for my father, it just happened, my older sister, she had a baby, she had a 1.5-year-old baby. They grabbed her, she was in custody for 3 days, the police, and my mother negotiated with the police, and she said that she will bring her son, which was me, to replace my sister. She found me miraculously. I don't know how she found me. I don't think anybody could find me, but she found me, and I threw myself in. They released my sister with the baby, and that was the last time I saw my family, except when they took us out from the ghetto. We marched to the SS in the building where they were located. So my mother and my aunt, they walked till the gate, and that's the last time I saw my mother and my aunt. And I had no clue. We went there in the afternoon. So there was a barrack, and the Germans, they said, if anyone, this is the place we're going to sleep, you have to lay down. If anyone is going to raise their head, will be killed. So the whole night we slept, and then the next day they called everybody out. And I was the youngest from the whole group. And they took us to the train station, and they just put ropes on our hand. They packed in people in the cattle cars. And the station, the train was going like a few days, and we wound up. I had no clue. Of course, we knew about Auschwitz very little then. And then first thing we walked in, we saw Arbeit macht frei, free. Work makes you free in English. And that was the beginning. I was in Birkenau. They put a number in Auschwitz. This one, then the next day they walked us to Birkenau. I was in Birkenau till they evacuated the camp in 1945, January the 1845. So they took us out, and we walked on the Dead March. We walked a few weeks. Then they put us again on a train. We didn't know where we were going. We were traveling again for a few days. And then all of a sudden, there were the SS, they disappeared. There was no one around us. So what happened, everybody got out from the train and we were just walking on the field, and that was all day, and all of a sudden the SS came in and they said to march, to line up, and for 5 people from. And all of a sudden they walked during the woods, so people in the front, they said, oh, they just killed people yesterday. So they started to run. People started running, and they put machine guns, they started shooting, and when I saw the bullets and people fell, so I just fell on the ground, and dead people fell on me. And from then on, whatever the remaining people, we walked again. We walked a few days. And they put us on in a farm, and we stayed in a house in the barn. And my work was this day, we were digging trenches. The Russians were going back and forth, so we were doing that. That was a month and a half, 2 months. And then all of a sudden, the SS, they disappeared. There was no one there. It was already in May, beginning of May. So we didn't know, we were just walking. I was with 2 people, 2 survivors, so we walked together. And we were just walking, and the people, the SS, they grabbed people to push their luggage and all that, but I kind of managed to escape at that till then, of course, there was a tavern in a little village, and we walked in the tavern. We didn't want to eat because we were very hungry, but you eat a lot, and you're hungry, that's the end. So just we asked for drinks. So they gave us the drinks, and as we walked out, an assessment with the machine gun saw us because we had the prison closed. He said to wait outside because we possessed the language, German language. So we knew that he was going to kill us. So we ran on the field as far as we possibly could, just hiding. You see, sometimes tigers, they try to attack and they camouflage themselves. That's the way. So all of a sudden, in the afternoon, we saw the bomb, the highway, and the tanks, and we didn't know, had no clue what planes. So slowly, we managed to just walk slowly down from the field close, and then a soldier, the bicycle, saw us. He drove in to see us, and he said that we just liberated this place of the Russian soldiers.
Do you know what happened to the rest of your siblings? I know you said you had a lot of them.
Yeah, they were all killed in the Holocaust in the city. Like I mentioned, there were 38,000 Jewish people there. 35,000 perished in the Holocaust in Treblinka. I went back to Treblinka 2-3 times with my parents and my uncles. My father had 7 brothers and children and a sister. They probably, if they would be alive, they would be probably a few thousand, our people. But also, again, it's so important, especially young people. I know the Holocaust survivors, they dwindling down, they're just, and that you keep this alive. It's so important for our people, just to generations to generations. It would be really a big, big mistake if we wouldn't do that. And I really appreciate all of you that you took up this about the Holocaust.
Hi, so what's your name and where were you born?
I'm born in Czechoslovakia.
And what's your name? What's your name?
Frieda Dvorak.
So Frieda, do you remember what concentration camp you went to? What concentration camp?
I don't know.
Aus.
Aus.
Tell them about your family.
There was 7 children, 7 girls.
Were you the oldest or the youngest or the
Yes.
middle?
I was the second one.
The second oldest.
Do you remember what age you were when the war started?
I was 14 years old, so,
Who survived in your family?
excuse me,
Who survived in your family?
I and my sister. She was younger from me, by 2 years.
Do you remember what you did in the camps?
In the factory for pipes.
Yeah,
Tell them about your family, that you grew up. What kind of house did you grow up in?
I grew up in a Jewish house.
Very religious.
in
And
a-
what did your
in a
family do?
religious-
What did your father and mother have? They had a what?
We were at a grocery store.
Okay, and tell them what happened after the war. After the war, you did what? In Prague? At Frankfurt.
I didn't have the father.
Geheiratet.
I didn't have the father.
No, you didn't have the father or the mother. After the war, she got married in Prague, and then she went where? Where did you go after Czechoslovakia? You guys went to where? To what country? To Israel.
From there, we went to Israel.
When it was just becoming a state.
Wow.
Who did you go with?
In Israel,
Yes.
Who did you go
I
with?
had a sister, she lived here already. And she came from Prague.
And after Israel, when did you come to America?
1959.
1969.
So you've been living here for a long time.
Yeah,
Did you come to Los Angeles first or did you go somewhere else?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
It was
Then they moved, when you moved to Los Angeles, what temple did you come to?
to Beth Am.
To Beth Am. Beth Am was near her house, so she came to Beth Am. And tell them what you did when you were in Beth Am.
Yeah.
What were you involved with?
But the cooking. And,
Back in the day, they used to have Jewish junior congregation. And my mother would do all of the luncheons that they would have for junior congregation. She would prepare the food for junior congregation, and she was involved in the sisterhood. For many years, she's been involved in the sisterhood.
Are you still a part of the sisterhood right now?
excuse me?
Are you still a part of the sisterhood?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Want us to learn?
To remember.
To remember about the Holocaust.
this was a long time. You don't have to live through such a thing. You
And she said not to forget
not to forget
and to keep up with the Jewish traditions.
to through this.
Yeah. To remember everything.
To never forget.
You see that wall over there is a representation.
The
The
wall
wall.
has all of the names of the concentration camps and the ghettos.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. It was so incredible to meet you.
And it was incredible to talk to you and to learn about your experience. Hi, thank you so much for coming. So, what's your name?
Ziporah,
Nice to meet you.
Bainvoll.
Can you tell us where you were born and when you were born?
Paul.
In Poland.
And when were you born? Do you remember?
What?
Do you remember when you were born?
I am laughing. 12/6/27.
So how old were you when the war started?
The war started, I was 11.
And
11 and a half.
And how old were you when you moved to America?
To America, oh, I was old. 80? No, 75, I think.
So where did you
Yeah,
spend?
75.
Where did you spend most of your life?
Where I spent?
Where did you spend most of your
In
life?
Israel, 56 years.
Can you tell us some experience you had during the war?
That's not for my mouth. I cannot.
Can you tell us a little bit about your family?
My family is gone.
Did you have any siblings?
Not now.
But before, like
Before
before
we
the
were,
war,
we
did
were
you?
4 children, yes.
4 kids,
2 girls and 2 boys.
2 girls and 2
Were
boys.
you the only one of your family to survive the Holocaust?
No, my brother ran away to Russia. One, and the other was in camp. The sister they killed.
What concentration camp were you in?
Auschwitz, Birkenau, Melteuer.
So a couple.
I came to Auschwitz, it was September. What day I don't remember, but I remember what they did to us. They send us right, left, and they take away my mom, right, and me left. And that's why I'm here. That's it.
What did you do at the camps?
What I didn't care,
Yeah.
I work.
What kind of work?
I work in the kitchen. I was very sick there. 6 weeks I was in hospital. In Auschwitz, I will not come here at all. But where we were, it's good people, was good people.
That's good.
And later on, they sent me to work in the kitchen. But it's for aeroplanes, some things. We work, 200 women, children.
ונסעתם ביחד לישראל?
Yeah,
ספר להם על הבנות.
yeah, we were 5 children, my age. Everybody was the same age. And we like sisters until now I have one, Anusha, is left. And that's it.
ואיך הכר...
Other 3 is died
How did you meet your husband?
in the camp after the war.
And you moved together to Israel? You moved together to Israel?
No. I knew him almost a year we married.
Do you think that it's important for everyone and kids to remember and never forget what happened?
I never forgot what happened.
לא, לילדים,
Never.
Do you think it's
לדור
important for
החדש.
us?
What?
Is it important for us that we never forget?
The children need to know. It's very important. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming to speak to us about the Holocaust.
Thank you.
We really enjoyed it and learned a lot.
Okay. I'm happy for you.
So, what do you remember from your life before the Holocaust started?
Had a very normal life, middle class family, I would say. And when this all started, we had, like Rachel said, in a very short time to change our lifestyle. My mother told us about 2 weeks before that we're going to, I mean after Kristallnacht I'm talking, that we were going to go to England, and everything started to be a rush. However, in between, my father, they were looking for my father, because I don't know if you know all the men they were looking for. And of course he wasn't home after this, he was gone, but the Gestapo actually came to our house looking for my father, and going through the house and into my sister's room, and they started to pull everything apart in my sister's room, pulling out drawers and everything. So then, after him pulling everything apart, they went through the house looking for guns, which we never had, of course, and took a number of the Jewish books with them and left. I told my mother, if your husband isn't at a certain time and a certain place at a certain time, we're coming for you. He followed their directions, and he was actually put in prison at that time. So we never really saw him when we had to leave. Within 1 week, my mother had to get a dressmaker to make uniforms, because we were fortunate to be able to go to boarding school. And we couldn't take anything with us. This is very important. We couldn't take anything with us. The suitcase, about this size, that's all we could take. A few clothes and a few treasures if we got away with it. Well, I had one treasure, which was I had a flute. In kindergarten we learned how to play the flute, and so I took that with me and everything. Otherwise we had nothing.
So what was the kinder transport, and how were you affected by it? How was your journey through it?
I was just saying, sorry, I forgot. We were now in the train on the station in Frankfurt with tons of parents, of course, but we didn't have ours. Anyway, the interesting part was that some of the parents at that point, didn't want their children to go, and there was a couple of them who actually pulled them out of the windows because they just couldn't take it, which of course was an emotional effect. That's what affected us, because there was a lot of crying, a lot of all kind of things. We always said, by the way, all the kinder transport children felt that the parents were really the heroes. If you put yourself in a position, how old are you? 16? 15.
13.
Well, 13, even better. Put yourself back 3 years. I was 10 actually when it happened, and my older sister was 12, and my younger sister was 9. So as a mother, you can imagine it was very hard to say goodbye to 3 young girls.
Yeah,
And
I can't even really imagine.
when we got to London, we were led into a huge hall and told, somebody's going to pick you up. We were one of the very last out of all those kids to be picked up, and we really wondered what happened until finally my mother had a cousin in London, and she finally got to us. We didn't know her that well, but we knew about her. And she had arranged for us to go to a boarding school. The things that I remember very well when we got to the school and met the principal, headmistress as they're called over there. It was a middle-aged lady who took in children. I don't know if you've heard about missionaries. That was her thing. No parents. These children like ourselves had no parents. However, we were the only Jewish children that she ever took in. And the minute we got our place, she had separated us into 3 different dormitories. Why? Because we didn't speak any English, I forgot to tell you. We spoke not a word of English when we had to leave Germany. And she knew that. So the best way to learn a language is to, with hands and feet, and try to speak. And it did help, but it was very, very emotional, very, very hard.
What message do you want to pass down to younger generations?
Well, the world being so bad today, you keep your Jewish religion, you keep your Jewish way, and try to be a, I don't know, try to be a good Jewish woman, and if you ever have children, tell them the same thing. I mean, we say never again, as you all know, but if you look at the world today, to me personally, it's very, very scary what's going on.
So Softa, what is your name?
Hannah. Current name is Greenberg. Maiden name Johansson.
So, what country did you come from, and where were you, and what year were you born?
I was born in 1937 in Lithuania, but the country I came from was the Soviet Union. Lithuania became one of the 16 republics of Soviet Union, but before the war it was an independent country until 1940. It was 4 of us and my grandmother, that was, by the standards of the time, an older woman, and she was very religious. She wore a shuttle, and she went through World War I, and she didn't want to leave. But my mother said, everyone is leaving, and this is important because after the unit, Soviet Army unit left, none of the Jews left. Why? Because the friendly Lithuanian neighbors prevented them from leaving. And subsequently, when, after my visit to this little town in 2006, I did some more research. Of the Jewish population of this town was about 500. I cannot say nobody survived because one woman did survive. All the rest wound up in a pit in a forest. We were taken, and I don't know why, but I met some other people that were taken to the same place. And this is an autonomous republic. And the people that live there are called Udmurts. It's an Asiatic, people. In any case, shortly thereafter, whoever, government, started to organize a Lithuanian division of the Russian army. So my father was 4 years in the army. My mother, she was by education a nurse. We went to a village, very small, where there was an orphanage of kids from Lithuania. Since the war started in summer, lots of kids were in, various vacation camps. So they were taken like one big mass, Jews, Lithuanians, and they were all gathered in this particular village, and my mother was there, a nurse. We stayed in this place till 1944. Actually, before the army did not get to Lithuania, the news about what happened to the Jews did not reach the place. Suddenly, from the letters of the people that were, entering Lithuania, it became known what happened there. My mother wrote letters to my father through the whole war, and he kept all the letters, and I have them. And she is writing in these letters, did she survive? Did she survive? How come their neighbors didn't save them? How come their neighbors didn't need them? The neighbors helped to kill them. She couldn't, comprehend what happened. So the whole orphanage was supposed to go back to Lithuania. And my mom was agonizing. She wrote in the letters, the Lithuanian kids got in touch with their parents and they are so happy they want to go back there to the Jewish kids didn't get responses. There is nobody there. There is nowhere to go.
So Softa, if there's one thing I could learn from your experience, what would it be?
About the Holocaust. It's difficult to comprehend what one man can do to another. We should never, ever forget. We should fight for something that we perceive. The consequences, we should fight at the beginning. We shouldn't let things get out of the hand. We should continue the education of the Holocaust. And we should know what happened. And the fact that we survived and have our own country and we thrive is the most important thing now.
So, what is your name and where are you from?
My American name is Henriette Moed Roth. My Hebrew name is Chaya Bat Chanoch Rochel Itagliga. And my maiden name is Moed. My married name is Roth.
And
where I'm from?
yeah.
I was born in Antwerp, Belgium, November 30th, 1923, and came to the United States in August 1940.
When did you start to notice things changing in Belgium?
Well, if you mean the international situation, things from a Jewish point of view, yes, throughout the 30s. I was born 23, so by 33, when Hitler was in power in Germany, the chancellor and so on, we could hear him on the radio ranting away in his public speeches, you know, and we were very, very concerned.
Where were you during the war and what were you doing?
Germany invaded Belgium on the 10th of May, 1940, and I was living in Antwerp, Belgium, with my parents at that time. And my big brother was a reservist, a soldier in the Belgian army, and he had been called back September 1st, 1939, when Germany invaded Poland. And so he had said to my parents, if the Germans invade Belgium, get out, because our puny little army is not going to be able to hold them back. And so we left Antwerp, my parents and I, on the 12th of May, 2 days later. And we were trying to get to London, England. And we went to the Belgian seacoast. We couldn't find a boat to take us. So then we met up with my first cousins there, who had a car, and had 2 children in the car. And they drove us, we all drove together in that car. We went to Dunkirk. And when we got to Dunkirk, they said, ships are only taking armed forces. We are not taking any civilians. And there were armed forces there, not only the French, but British troops, Polish troops, Belgian, Dutch, whatever. And so we just drove on towards, well, the south of France, or Paris, actually. We made it to Paris. In the meantime, my cousins had car trouble, and so we left them behind, and we got on a train in Paris, my parents and I, and we went to Royan by way of Angoulême, Cognac, and Royan, and because the Belgian government had said the diamond dealers should all meet up in Royan, which is a small seaside resort town on the Gulf of Biscay, on the Atlantic Ocean, but on the French coast, the western coast. And so we went there, and we spent a couple of months there, but things didn't look good. Germany was breaching of France's defenses, and we decided we better get out. And we still couldn't get to England, no ships taking us to England, but we went by train. In the meantime, we met up with my sister and my big sister and her husband, and we all went down to Saint-Jean-de-Luz, which is a city on the Bay of Biscay. No, Gascogne, Bay of Biscay, yes, near the Spanish border. And we boarded the ship and were shown to the front hold. There were 4 holds, and they were completely empty. And well, we slept in our clothes on the floor. And so we made it eventually to Casablanca. And that's how we got to Casablanca. And we were traveling very slowly along the coast of Spain and Portugal mostly. I saw Portugal, you know, from a distance, from the ship, from the boat. Well, no, it's a ship. It was 4,500 tons. It was pretty decent, you know. And I was treating it all like a big adventure. I was 16 years old, and I wouldn't tell anybody this, you know. I mean, I wouldn't tell my parents this, but I was sort of enjoying it because I had led a very sheltered life in Antwerp and not done much traveling, except in Belgium and Holland, because my mother was Dutch. And so I just kind of enjoyed it. And
What ended up happening to your family, and who survived and who didn't?
Well, I would like to refer you to this little book, Just a Jewish Girl. When I put this book together, I thought to myself, this is the one time now that I have a chance to commemorate all my family members who perished in the Holocaust. And so I put in this section, in memoriam, 3 pages, with all the family members who perished in the Holocaust. Wow. And there are 125 names here. When you see the ages, and this book is in the Temple Library, so you'll see there are children there, very young children.
Okay. What lessons would you want to pass down to young people such as us?
Basically, be kind to others, no matter what their social standing is or who they come from, what color they are or whatever. People are people. People, I mean, we are, I feel very strongly that my religion has given me a great background in how to behave. And that is, I think, and that's why synagogue membership is very important to me, because really I think my strength is derived from my religion.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity.